The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello. Hi guys, great to have you here tonight. There's still some people registered who I can see them logging on, so let's wait a couple of minutes before kicking off. So at the moment everyone is on mute. If you're unfamiliar to go to webinar the setup, you can we can unmute you later, and you can also type questions into the panel bar. So what I'd love you to do, you guys did here now, if you could please just type a quick note into the comment box, just to let me know that you can hear me and if you can see my screen all right. So if you're not familiar, at the top right of your screen there should be a control panel, and about halfway down you can type in a comment and it'll get to me and I'll be able to see that you can hear me, that you can see me, and that we're all good to go. Cool. Fantastic. Yay, thank you guys, excellent. So we're all here, loud and clear. And throughout the session, if you can type in questions, sometimes I do forget to look at the comments panel, but I will check it at the end if I've missed the question throughout the series. And we can also take anyone off mute at any stage and have a chat if you'd like to have a chat and ask some questions. So I'll probably go for about 20-25 minutes going through the presentation, and then we'll have some Q&As afterwards and just discussion if you want to come off mute and have a chat. Fantastic. Excellent. Those guys who've just joined us, you have just come on. So we are, everyone is on mute, but I will take you off mute later on if you want to have a chat, and you can please feel free to type into the question panel and ask any questions, comments, and we'll go from there. Awesome. Thank you. So I am recording this radio show. So it'd be fantastic, and I will send you guys all out a copy, and it's available on the website so if you want to have a look at it at a later date, because there are a couple of slides which are quite long, which are some good exercises that you're welcome to go and do yourself at a later date. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to Let's Talk Change. This is the 4th of 6 shows I've been doing around creating change, and tonight the key focus that we're looking at is becoming selfish. So we'll just get started. So selfish. So it's a word that brings up quite a lot of stuff for a lot of people, and often it brings up all the wrong stuff, especially for women. I think selfish is often defined as taking care of your own needs and comforts with disregard for others. I'd like to challenge that, because I believe I see it differently. If you're ruled by and governed by others and what they need and what they want, it's one of the major ways to prevent you from achieving what you want in your life. If you don't focus on what you want because you're so busy doing things for others, thinking of others, worrying about others, being anxious of what others think of you, or you do any of this, I personally believe you just need to get more selfish. You need to focus a little bit more on you and your why and what's important for you. So what I'd love for you to do is just ask yourself now this question: who runs your life? Are you a prisoner to outside expectations? Is it your family, your job, your boss, your parents, your kids, your career, your tribe, and tribe in terms of that extended peer group or family? Are you living for them, through them? And where in this, what are your dreams? What are your hopes? What are your desires? Where do your needs and wants fit into all of this? And if you're asking yourself those questions, then that's probably the perfect time to start to think about what's important for you and understanding. We're talking about selfishness. It's just about getting that me time back and understanding the importance of putting time into yourself and understanding what is important for you. Because most of us, our core drivers, we want to be liked. We worry that if we don't get along, we won't belong. Now and I see this so often in the yoga students. One of the reasons why I started doing coaching was I've just seen so many people over the years who, for whatever reason, are just unhappy and just not living their life the way they want, and so often so high expectations on themselves. I think so many of us are so anxious and worried about whether other people are judging them, and we put this anxiety ahead of our own dreams. Are we good enough? Are we balancing? Is our practice? All this kind of stuff. And I think it's really important. We've been talking about this over the last few webinars, is to understand that most things boil down to 3 fundamental or universal fears that affect us all. It's that fear of not being good enough, or sometimes that can be referred to as even the fear of being found out, fear of not belonging, and ultimately this can be a fear of not being loved. And that's what's important to us, understand what's the fear that's holding you back. And also more importantly, how are you masquerading your fear? Because often we're not aware that our responses, our behaviours come from a place of fear. I mean, is it by being a people pleaser? Are you saying yes to everybody but yourself? You know, that's sacrificing unconsciously your own hopes and dreams to keep others placated, to keep others happy. You know, do you know how to say no to others and say yes to yourself? And it's a big question, and it's for so many of us, especially with families and kids, and juggling so much stuff. It's just sometimes the hardest thing to do. And it's that understanding that taking that responsibility for yourself and for your life and the decisions that you're making. We talked last month about being at cause and taking 100% responsibility for your life, and understanding that how much more empowering it is once we start to take that responsibility and understand that everything we do in life is a choice. And you want to create those choices to allow you to move forward in a way that's going to get you to serve you, support you, nurture you, challenge you. And by doing serving, supporting, nurturing, challenging yourself, you're filling up your own tank. You've got so much more then to give to others. You know, creativity and excellence require selfishness, just like growth. For you to grow, you need to be selfish. You need to answer the calls of your heart and mind before you answer the calls of your friends and family, your tribe. It's that whole put your own oxygen mask on first in the plane. You need the oxygen yourself to breathe before you can share and give to your kids and to your family, to other people. Rather than what we always do is just sacrifice ourselves, and often we become martyrs. So it's understanding, you know, what is selfishness. And I've called it here as what is selfish, and understanding it here throughout the session. I'm talking about resourceful selfishness, because all our actions, behaviours can be either resourceful or unresourceful. So to me, it's resourceful selfishness, which is a way that is going to serve, support and nurture you. Not unresourceful. I'm not talking about being narcissistic or anything like that. So just understand we're talking about a healthy selfishness. Versus being needy, where when we're needy, what we're doing is we're expecting others to give to us. We're expecting others to fill that hole and to give us what we need. And if we keep expecting others to fill that hole, you know, it's a black hole. It's never going to get filled. And understanding that needy is very different to needs. Our needs are what is required for you to be yourself, to be fully at your best. So it's up to you to meet your needs. And as I could talk about, take the responsibility for yourself. Understand what your core needs are. What drives you? What are your values? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What is it that is important to you to be doing sustainably on a day-to-day basis to keep you happy? So understand what those core drivers are and what those core needs are. And key to doing that is actually learning how to say yes. So you need to understand it's reasonable to put your needs first. And that can be a biggie, especially for when, as I said before, you're juggling family and kids and career and you've got so many people and so many needs. Understanding that putting your needs first is going to allow you to give. We need to have compassion, love for ourselves before we can understand it and see it in others and give it to others. So what I'd love you guys to do is just think about something you could say yes to that would make you happy. It could just be a small thing. It could just be escaping for half an hour once a week to have a coffee by yourself or with friends. Just some little things that are manageable and sustainable. Just start to think about things you can do for yourself. Say yes to yourself. You know, what if you didn't mind? What happened if you didn't keep the peace once? What if you stood firm and didn't keep the peace? Now, what if you're okay with rocking the boat a little bit? Just have to challenge yourself and really think about what's stopping you, what's holding you back, what's the fear underlying your decisions not to do this? What's that fear because using that fear we're trying to keep ourselves safe and protect us for something. And we're stopping ourselves from growing. And so for you to grow, you need to be selfish. You need to be willing to take care of your needs and prioritize them. So prioritize something for yourself. Put it in your diary. Set time aside. Focus on your needs and nurture and care for them. So it doesn't mean ignoring others, it doesn't mean being rude, it doesn't mean shutting people out and just forgetting your family and forgetting the chores, all that kind of stuff. It's about being resourceful selfishness. It simply means saying yes to yourself. And start small. Start with something simple and sustainable that you know that you can do. Because what happens is, you know, when we start to say yes to things that matter to you more often, you start to build more self-confidence and you also start to build more belief in yourself. Constantly putting off your decisions because of old patterns or wanting to keep the peace and not rock the boat, that can erode your self-confidence because it's a spiral. We talked about the wheel of fear. You know, you start to not do things and putting everybody else first and deny your own needs. And then you start to lose confidence in yourself. So you lose confidence in yourself and you start to shut down and then you don't make decisions. Then that whole thing, you start to think that you shut down and you might go, oh my God, it's getting overwhelming. And you spend the evening on the couch doing nothing. You spend the evening on the couch doing nothing. You feel guilty because you're not doing things. And therefore your self-worth goes down. So it becomes this vicious cycle, this vicious circle going round and round and round. So just start small. Start to do small things. Start to make decisions. Remember, imperfect action is better than no action. Just take action and do something and move forward. When you clearly communicate who you are and what you want, people around you can relax because they know what you stand for. If we play the role of eager to please, rather than standing up for what you want, you can potentially be seen as fake or playing some kind of role. You always want to be seen as authentic. So when we teach yoga, I mean, you know, you've got to teach from your heart. You've got to leave your ego at the door. You know, you've just got to be yourself and be authentic, and that shines through. Because people always think you've got a hidden agenda if you're not being authentic and not being true to yourself. You know, it's really difficult to be seen as authentic if you're a martyr. Because by constantly submitting to others and subverting your own desires, you'll never know your life's purpose. I mean, how can you when you're not spending time on yourself? And I think so many people are lost and lack meaning in their lives and are confused about their purpose. I had someone come to see me just the other day and just starting with a coaching session, and he'd spent his whole life. He didn't know what made him happy. And we worked back and we realized, you know, when he was a young kid, really young kid, he'd had a brother who had special needs, and he'd, at some point along the line, he'd made the decision when he was a really, really young child that his brother's needs were more important than his. And this client of mine is now 50 this year, and he's got to 50 and never ever put his needs first. He's always put everyone else's needs before his own. And as a result of that, he's never truly understood what makes him happy, what his needs are. And it's so important. So we're working on creating that purpose and finding what it is, because it's so important. It's very, very hard to have self-confidence and self-belief when you don't know what makes you happy, what your values are, what your drivers are. You want to be able to claim those special moments, claim what makes your heart sing, and claim what's important for you. Because people who know what they want and claim it have more to give to others. You know, I believe it's only people who are willing to put themselves first that has the reserves, the energy, the passion, the love to give to others. So many of us struggle, you know, so many people face challenges, and many of these challenges are because we hide from saying yes to the things that we want, because we want to fit in with the world around us and make everyone else comfortable. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Who do you spend your time with? You know, I had this quote the other day that we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So you want to be surrounding yourself with people that are positive and happy and supporting you and nurturing you and supporting that growth. You know, are you surrounding yourself with people who expect you to stay the same and never grow? Is it people who celebrate or denigrate your success? You know, is it people who pursue dreams, or are they just dream snatchers? You want to be with people who fulfill you and nurture you and support you and thrive in your growth and share in your growth. So selfishness in this context is not about getting your way or on everything or ignoring the needs of others. It's about pleasing yourself. Well, not about pleasing yourself at the expense of others. It's about pursuing what is important to you. And even if it means sometimes others questioning you and trying to undermine that pursuit. We talk about the average of the 5. So there's always going to be people around you in your life that might not understand where you're at in your life, but the more they see you growing and changing and that confidence and that joy in seeing you develop, they come along for the ride. It's that beautiful Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see. Just be it, do it, live it, and people can't help but be swept away with it and get caught up in it. And one of the first places we can start, or how we can start to do this, is start to look at our language. Start to notice if you're overly obliging. I mean, do you always say yes without even thinking? Even if you know that it means that you're going to get behind, for example, on stuff that you need to do. And what about just playing around with it? I mean, when's the last time you said, I can't? Or let me think about it? Or even just I'll get back to you. If that's a real challenge, maybe you just say, look, I will, I'd love to do this for you, but first I want to. First I need to do this for myself. And ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if you said no? Just really be honest with yourself. What's the worst thing that could happen if you did say no to somebody? And then ask yourself the question, could you handle it? If you could handle it, maybe sometimes you can start saying no. By all means, if you've got the resources, the time, the energy, and you want to do it, of course you say yes. But if there's some things where you find that you start to resent it, it's not from that authenticity, it's not from that place of genuine giving, purely for the sake of giving and for helping, then just ask yourself sometimes maybe what's the worst that could happen? And start to spend that time, that energy on doing what you need to fulfill your needs. So dare to be selfish. Dare to be selfish. Dare to pursue your passions, your interests, your wants and needs, and sometimes actually doing something for you before you do something for somebody else. And how do we do this? You need to understand your purpose. That's something I love. I love when I'm working with clients. I had a client come into me a couple of months ago now, and he had just had to go back to work. He'd been the caregiver for his 3 young boys, and then he went back to work when the kids changed their preschools, and he was really struggling being back at work because he just didn't know why he was there. He was really struggling. He was an introvert and not that comfortable being in that work situation. He was really, really struggling. We sat down and worked through what his desires were, his purpose was, and we were able to establish where he wanted to be, what his purpose was, what his goals were. And suddenly it just changed his whole way he thought about his work because he knew why he was at work. There's a reason now for him to be at work, because it was contributing to him getting where he needed to be. So it's just that understanding the purpose makes you understand the choices you're making and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis with your life. He understood that for him, where he was in his workplace was giving him the resources, the networks, the skills to be where he needed to be. And ultimately it was going to get him where he needed to be. So the first webinar we did, we explored your average ideal day and your purpose. The recordings are on the website, and it's a fantastic exercise to go through. We're going to go through it very quickly after this, but I really think it's fantastic thing to go back and just spend some more time on, because everything we do is a choice. Everything in our life is a choice, and our lives and our experience are made up of those day-to-day choices. And you want to make choices that are aligned to your purpose, your core, your why. So make purposes that are aligned to what makes you happy, what makes your heart sing, what makes you get out of bed in the morning. And when you know your why and your purpose, making decisions becomes so much easier because you've got criteria to base those decisions on. Is this going to get me where I need to be? Does this align with my values? So I said we'll go through these slides, and the first one I want to go through is a little exercise just to really start to think about what's important to you. It's called your average ideal day. So I'd love you guys, if you're sitting down, just to make sure both feet firmly grounded, planted on the ground. Just sit up tall, just relax your shoulders, just think about your great yoga posture, and just really allow yourself to calm down and close your eyes if you like. Just doing a really lovely visualization exercise. So I really want you to think about your average ideal day. And by average ideal day, I don't mean you win lotto and you go live on a beach for a couple of months, because that's not sustainable. You get bored. And we all know that's fantastic for a while, and after a while the novelty of just reading books or pina coladas, whatever, can get quite demotivating. So it's what's something you want to do on a sustainable, on a consistent basis for your average ideal day. So go back, imagine your average ideal day. Where would you live? What does your house look like? Who's living with you in your house right now? And again, this is average ideal day. Forget obstacles. We're talking about magic wand stuff. What would you love? Where would you love to be living? How would you love to be living? How many rooms are there in your house? Is there a garden? What do you see when you look out the window of your house? What do you smell in the morning? Who's with you? Who are you talking to? What are you having for breakfast? Who are you sitting having breakfast with? What are you talking about over breakfast? What are you hearing? What are you thinking about? What's getting you excited about your day? What's the view? What are you seeing out your window? Are you smelling coming from the kitchen? What are you believing is possible for your day? You know, what does the mundane stuff look like? Are you doing your to-do list for the day? What does that look like? What's on that list? What are the things you do for your day? How do you spend the first half of your day? What are you doing? Who are you doing it with? Who are your friends? What are you talking about with your friends? What are you thinking about? What do you want to share? What are they saying? Are they supporting you, nurturing you, challenging you? What can you smell? What's around you? What are you hearing as you go through your day? What are you seeing? What are you believing? What are you doing with your day? Are you at home? What do you have for dinner? Who's cooking dinner? What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel, taste like? Getting all your senses going, that fantastic day, that awesome day. After dinner, what are you doing? Who are you with? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? So really start to get yourself in that place of understanding what it is that's important to you. What are the things that you want to experience consistently on a day-to-day basis? So I just thrown up a lot of questions here. It's a fantastic exercise to sit down for about half an hour and just really think through it. I just hope it's just brought some stuff up for you, because the next step now is the bigger stuff. You know, what do you do throughout this day for your personal fulfillment? What life purpose would you strive for? What does it give you, these things you're doing every day? You want to keep asking yourself for what purpose, until you know what truly matters to you. What makes your heart sing? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What gives you joy? What fills you with love and happiness? And another way to look at it is that, what legacy would you like to leave behind? You might have heard it before, people talk about creating that eulogy, that eulogy for yourself. What do you want to be remembered for? What is it that you want people to remember you for that purpose? What was your purpose? What did you give? What did you contribute? So really learn, you want to live the life that you love. Come from your heart, live from your heart. And you've got all that love, and we've all got so much to give, and then you share. And it's understanding that starts with you and what's important to you, and understanding what your purpose, your why, your reason for being is. And you've got so much more to share and to give to others. So what I love for you guys to do is I just throw up a challenge for you next 7 days. I'd love you guys to just give it a shot. So first and foremost, understand your why. Now this can be a biggie. It can take sometimes a few sessions for me going through people one-on-one if you've never really thought this way before. It can be quite challenging, and some of us find it a lot harder to think bigger pictures than others. So just have a go. If you get stuck, just give me a call, send me an email. Let's just talk about it. Let's chat about it. But it's so important to understand your why. So many of us just go through our day-to-day existing. We go to school, we go to university, we just get jobs. Suddenly we find ourselves with a family and we find ourselves with kids, and we're existing. And yes, there's happiness along the way, but we don't really know what the purpose is, what we're striving towards. Before you know it, life's just passing you by. So understand your why, so you understand the choices that you're making. So make choices that are going to get you where you want to be. Now think of something you could say yes to that would make you happy. Think of something that you could say yes to that's going to help you achieve your why, that's aligned with your goals, your purpose, your vision, your reason for being. Understand what the needs are that drive that why. And prioritize some of those needs. Say yes to something and prioritize it. Put it in your diary. Set aside some time. Focus on it. Nurture and care for those needs. Nurture and care for yourself. Start to be aware of your language, the language that you're using. Start to empower yourself to say no. And notice sometimes when you don't automatically say yes, you actually put some of that energy back into yourself, that self-confidence you get. Now, courage turns up when we act. Feel the fear and do it anyway. It's such a cliche. Feel the fear and do it anyway, but it's so important because fear doesn't go away. It's always with us. So it's a matter of understanding that, and the only way it goes away is when we do something, when we act. It's imperfect action. Who cares? You just do something. Just purely by doing something, you're moving forward and you're growing. Even if you're learning what not to do. You learn, make a different choice next time. So just keep yourself moving forward and growing. And you'll just find, you'll be amazed at the difference you'll feel in yourself when you actually start to get that self-confidence and that self-belief and that empowerment. When you take that responsibility and start to be a cause for yourself and for your life. Working towards that purpose, saying yes to yourself, prioritizing your needs. And then you'll be amazed at that flow-on effect. You'll be that change you want to see, and people start to see that confident, happy you. You start to have more energy for your kids, more energy for your partner, more energy for your life, more energy for all those things. You start to understand what are the things to let go, what is important. So I'd love to challenge you to dare to be selfish. Dare to be selfish. Now, your gifts will develop when you learn to be more selfish. You may not even know what your gifts are, what it is that you have to give and contribute until you build that muscle of selfishness. It's like anything, it's just creating that habit. Create that habit, create that shift, create that change for yourself. And I think even after 7 days, you'll be amazed. So I really love you guys to do it, and I'd love you to flick me an email and just let me know how you're getting along and how you found that challenge and what confronted you. Start to notice where you come up against a wall. Start to notice where something's really challenging you and confronting you, and maybe asking yourself, what's the fear? What's holding me back here? What is it? Because all this is simply about awareness. And the way that we create change is we create change. By having the awareness and choosing to act, choosing to maybe do things differently, choosing to do things a certain way. You want to empower yourself. We have everything we need within us. We're so much stronger than we think. We've got it all there. We just need to tap into it and believe in it and believe in ourselves. So thank you guys for tuning in. I said it's about 25 past now, so a few more minutes if you want to, any questions, want to share something. As I said before, I'd love to offer anyone a complimentary session. Just come in and have a chat. Just talk generally about coaching, or just talk generally about anything that you want to, that's come up for you. Make an appointment online. I've created a separate website now for letstalkchange.co.nz, so just specifically focusing on the coaching that I'm doing. You can email me at Nika at Let's Talk Change, or email me at the studio, whatever. I'd love to hear how this has gone and get some feedback and find out what's come up for you and what you're doing, and any questions, anything that's coming up for you, I'd love to hear. I'm just going to see if we have any questions. I think we've got them all. Everyone gets quite shy, I found, on these. So if anyone wants to put their hand up and then have a chat, otherwise, thank you guys. Fantastic having you here, and love to hear from you, and I hope I see you soon. Thank you. Bye.